Good morning, good afternoon. Welcome back to another TidalShift seminar. We've actually got a short one today. We're going to be about a half an hour, and we're going to be taking a look at the changes to the CCR, the certification continuance requirements from PMI, which are changing in the new year, as well as the RDS and the changes to the PMP exam. So that's going to be our topic and agenda for today. So we'll just go ahead and get started right into that. As always, we have Lauren to help support us. So on the technical side, if you're having any issues with sound and things like that, again, please be patient and bear with us for a few minutes while the technology settles down. We will be recording this as always and making that available to you. Now, the control panel is off to your right, and if you need a little bit more real estate, you can click on the little red arrow. You also have the options for typing in a question as well as raising your hand if there's an issue. Now, there's actually a new feature that we're going to be taking advantage of today in the GoTo webinar, so I don't have it on my screenshot here, but also in your side panel, you should see a handout. So if you click on the little minus arrow, plus arrow there beside the word handouts, and you expand that, you should see a handout. And if you want to just pop in there and download that, we'll be referencing it through the day. If you do have any difficulty downloading it, or if you're watching this recorded, Lauren will be sending that out with the follow-up email. As always, we do try to make this a little bit interactive. There's not a huge amount of interactivity in this one, just based on the nature of the session. So we do have one poll popping up, and we'll have our little icon to remind us. So I'm just going to walk through the agenda here today, and we've got this in two halves. The first half is the Continuing Certification Requirements, or CCR, and we're going to be looking at the overview of that as well as discussing in some detail what are the changes and answering the question, how can we help you, maintain your certifications. The second half is going to take a look at the Role Delineation Study, or RDS. We'll take a look at the overview of that and discuss what are the changes and what is the impact for those changes. And the reason we've structured it this way is anyone who does have their PMP already, the second half of this session is not relevant to you. So what we'll do is we'll go through the CCR first, and for anyone who has their PMP, this is definitely going to be relevant. For anyone who's in flight, who's working on getting their PMP, this is also going to become relevant to you as soon as you get certified. So you're going to need to know this as well. So this way we've got kind of both things covered in the first half. And then anyone who like I say, who has their PMP, don't need to stick around for the second half. So with that in mind, I'm going to pose the question, are you a PMP? And Lauren will bring that up for us. So yes, you are, no, but it's in process, you're working on it, and no, you're still deciding. So that poll is now open. 82%. You guys are fast. Look, we're already at 90%. This is awesome. So I'm getting you guys trained well over here. All right, so we can go ahead and close that down. So we've got a mix, little under half are PMP, so 43% are certified. 52 are no but in progress, and there's 5 of you still trying to decide. For anyone who, well, for anyone actually, if you do have any questions around that program, feel free to drop me a line or ask any questions. So anyone who's either in flight or trying to decide. If we can help you out in any way, please, drop us a line, let us know. Okay. So with that in mind, we're going to get into the CCR, the continuing certification requirements, and let's just take a quick look at an overview. And we're going to focus in on the PMP. Now, there are other certifications that PMI does manage and maintain. So there's a schedule, project scheduler, there's risk manager, and so on. And I find that most people, they get their PMP first and then kind of build on that. So we're going to focus in on the PMP one today. Go to the PMI.org website. That handout has links to get to additional resources to kind of flesh this out a little bit. So just give you a quick overview. First of all, it's a 3-year cycle. So let's say you just passed your exam and you are now suddenly a PMP. The clock starts ticking from the day you pass the exam. So we're at what, November 27th today, 2015. So basically 3 years from today, you would have to complete the recertification requirements. and then of course 3 years after and 3 years after and so on. Every 3 years you need 60 professional development units, or what we refer to as PDUs. So what we've been doing for these webinars is we're giving you a PDU for the webinars. This particular one doesn't, because it's just an informational one, but the regular series, so for those of you who've been attending our series of webinars, and a PDU is equal to 1 hour. So if you attend a class, if you watch a webinar, things like that, it's a one-to-one relationship. So over the 3-year period, you need to amass 60 PDUs. Now, and we'll talk a little bit about this in more detail on the second half, but PDUs are different from contact hours, because contact hours are what you need to get your certification. PDUs are what you need to maintain it. And again, go to the PMI.org website to get additional details around that, but there's actually 6 different categories. Category A, which is education from registered education providers such as TidalShift. Those ones are pre-registered with PMI. If you get audited, it's attended that course, good, done, next, moving on. So those are your kind of easiest ones to claim. Now there are so the 6 PDU categories divided into 2 subcategories. So we have education and we have giving back. On the education side, the first one there, as we see, is the REP, Registered Education Provider. You also have continuing education, which is taking a non-registered education provider course. So if you have a course that's hosted by your company, or if you do like a night school course or something like that, assuming that the content is relevant to project management, you can claim that. Now, if you get audited on those ones, you have to provide the transcript and the curriculum and kind of prove that it's actually PM related. The last area is self-directed, which is you can read a book, that kind of thing. Pre-recorded e-learning falls into that category if it is not provided by an REP, a registered education provider. So all of the stuff that we do comes under category A, which is registered education provider. The second half is the giving back category, and you have 3 options there. You can create some PM knowledge, you can volunteer, or you can work as a PM. Now, when you work as a project manager, there's a certain amount of hours, and I'm pretty sure it's 15 or 15 PDUs per cycle. It's 8. Oh, I'm being corrected there. Thank you, Lauren. It's 8 per cycle. If you volunteer, so if you're doing some volunteer work, so I used to help run the Kayak for a Cure here in Toronto, and we ran it as a project, so if I needed PDUs, I could claim some of those. And then creating PM knowledge, so these webinars that I put together and the articles that we write and the courses that we put together and stuff like that, that counts under creating PM knowledge. So if you write an article or write a book, develop a course, that kind of thing. And again, if you go to PMI.org, you can get all the gory details on how all of that works. Now, here's the changes. So PMI has introduced this thing called a talent triangle. And the talent triangle it's 3 sides. It's a triangle. So the 3 sides are leadership, strategic, business and management, and then finally technical. So the technical is the one that's been there the whole time, right? We look at PMBOK, it's a very technical book. It's, this is how we manage projects. So what they've done is they've introduced 2 new dimensions here, which is leadership and then strategic business management. And if you take a look at PMBOK 5th edition, especially if we compare it to 4th edition, there's an increased focus around the whole strategic business management side of things. And really what PMI is saying here is they're recognizing that when we don't provide business value, we're wasting money. We're not delivering value to the performing organization. And this is why I like to use the word investment instead of the word budget. When we talk about the budget of the project and it's $1 million, what really is happening here is the performing organization is investing $1 million into this thing, whatever that thing is, whether that's new business process, new piece of software, whatever that is, and they need to get the benefit back. So hence, we need to be thinking as PMs at a more strategic level, at a more business management level. How's this going to affect the business? We've been doing a very good job on the technical side, technical project management, doing the Gantt charts and the responsibility assignment matrices and work breakdown structures and all those technical things. But we really need to make sure they're aligned with the business from a strategic level. But again, all of this is not of any worth if we don't execute. and that's where the leadership piece comes in. And we've talked about some of this in our past webinars around, you know, building some of that leadership in, so such that we can take the technical aspects and be effective in the execution of those. And really that's kind of what the leadership arm is all about. So what we have now, which we did not have before in the CCR, is a minimum education requirement. So there used to be a maximum on the give back side, but there was no minimum on the education side. So we now have a new minimum, and the way it's structured is that we have 8 per side, plus 11 discretionary that can go through any of the sides. We add all that up and it's 35. So what we're looking at now is you need a minimum of 35 education PDUs per cycle. And those PDUs need to be distributed around the triangle, 8 per side, and then the additional 11 can be in any one of or combination thereof of the 3 sides. And what we're doing here at TidalShift is we are aligning all of our courses around this triangle so that when you get your PDUs now, it will actually say, okay, well, you've got, you know, 3 PDUs for that course and that falls under strategic, or, you know, here's 7 PDUs for a day-long course that falls under leadership. And then when you go and report those, you'll see where you need to, you know, kind of layer that on the triangle. And to that end, what we've done now is we're looking at our webinars, and we're basically aligning them to the triangle and making sure that we have a distribution that's going to support you guys. So when we look at, you know, you need 35 in a 3-year cycle, well, we've been doing our webinars roughly once a month. We've been kind of taking a little bit of time off here and there, like in the summer and around Christmas. So what we're going to be doing now going forward is we're going to do 1 per month. So we'll have 12 per year, which means over your 3-year period, there's actually 36 webinars, 36 hours of webinars that you can take with us to give you that 35 requirement. And again, we're going to commit to making sure that there's the proper distribution around the triangle. All of these fall under a category A, whether you attend them live or if they're recorded. Now, you notice the evil word there, volume discount. And so we're part of what we're doing today is we're announcing that our webinars are going to be moving to a paid model. And what we're looking at doing here is to try and help take the legwork out for you. So we're going to package and process these so that you have that necessary distribution. And in switching to this paid model, it's a small price, it's very inexpensive, but basically you'd be purchasing these webinars either individually as one-offs or as a bundle, okay, based on what your needs are. And we've got a couple different options there. We're going to be sending the details out to you, so everyone who's ever attended our webinars will be sending a communication out in the next week or so, as well as putting stuff up on our website. And we're going to be doing that come January 1st. Okay, so we've been having a really great response to these webinars. I think they're of great value, and you know, going forward, we're going to be upping our commitment around this because we were kind of doing them roughly about once a month. I think we ended up doing about like 8 or 9 per year kind of thing. What we're now going to do is we're going to fully commit to you guys to support you, give you that 12 per year, give you the 36 over 3 years. And the nice thing is because you can actually claim these as attended live or recorded, if you get into that unenviable situation, you know, guilty as charged, you're in that, you know, second half of year 3 and you're going, uh-oh, I don't have my PDUs yet, right? So you can binge watch, you know, the webinars and do the Netflix thing and you know, sort of get all your requirements kind of knocked out of the way real quick. Okay, so for some more information, again, go to PMI.org. If you go to certification.pmi.org, look for the PMP handbook. It walks through it all. If it's still a little foggy for you, PMI did put out a webinar explaining all of this, so the link is there, thebrainshark.com/PMI.org. Lauren is going to be sending you out a PDF handout. If you click on the handouts on your control panel, you can download it now. All of these links are in there, okay? So if you're kind of panicking going, let me write this down. And, you know, also contact your local friendly REP, which is, you know, that would be us, yes. So an REP is Registered Education Provider. Okay. So this actually brings us to the middle of our program today. So I'm going to invite all of the already certified PMPs if you guys want to check out and say good to go, thanks very much, not a problem, because what we're going to do now is we're going to move into the RDS, the Role Delineation Study, which is really only applicable to those folks who are moving forward and trying to get their PMP who haven't actually got it yet. Of course, you're all welcome to stay for the full half hour. I'm always happy to have more people around. All right. So, oh, and just before those of you take off, our next webinar is going to be on January the 8th, and it's on followership. So if you've been following our newsletter, there it is. You should all have it. So I did an article for the last newsletter on followership, and that's going to be the topic of the next webinar. Okay. Now, the RDS, which is the Role Delineation Study. So let's just give you a quick little bit of background on what the RDS is. The RDS is a worldwide study of practicing PMs. So what they do, PMI, is to contact the practicing PMs around the world and basically ask the question, what are you doing? And it's all about knowledge and tasks. So what they're looking at is, you know, what knowledge do you have and what do you need in your work, and hence what tasks are you doing? They then take that information and kind of align it with PMBOK to give us the language. But what our RDS does is it basically says, here's where we need to shine light to focus on for the exam. And this is really the basis of the exam. So if you can kind of sort of envision PMBOK and its 47 processes and 10 knowledge areas and all that, basically it's going to be like, okay, the RDS comes back and says, we're doing a ton of identify stakeholders. Okay, great, let's focus in on that. Let's give you some questions around that. So this is kind of what drives the exam. Now, because PMI is very diligent around making the exam not only relevant but also current, they undertake redoing the RDS periodically. So it's just been redone a couple of years ago. I think it was, I was about to say 2009, but it wasn't. I think it was like 2012. Anyways, it was redone fairly recently, and now those changes are starting to flow through, and they're going to be changing the exam come this January. Okay. So here are the changes, and again, I'll give you the links in a few moments. You can go to PMI's website. You can kind of dig into that. So what I did is I took the old RDS, I took the new RDS, I put them side by side, and I just kind of walked through it. As is always when they do these things, there's a number of minor wording changes. So like task 7 in domain 2 might have some wording changes. Fundamentally the same. So what I've done is I've just highlighted where the real changes are. So in domain 1, initiating the project, they've added 3 tasks. So task 2, task 7, and task 8. They used to have 6 tasks, they're now up to 8. And task 2 got replaced, basically is what happened. So 1 was deleted, 1 was added. In domain 2, planning a project, they added task 13. In executing, they added 2. In monitor and control, they added 2. And in closing, there was no new tasks added. Again, some minor adjustments around wording here and there, but these are really kind of the fundamental things. Now, at a fairly high level, here's what we're looking at. There's an increased focus on stakeholder management. And this is not at all surprising. When PMBOK 5th came out and they had the new knowledge area of stakeholder engagement, I'm like, okay, this is going to result in an increased focus in the exam, okay? And that's now what we're seeing, because basically when they go and rewrite PMBOK, they also, go out to the practicing community and say, what are you guys doing, and where is your focus, and what does that look like? And they unanimously came back and said, we need to manage our stakeholders better, right? And this is kind of hand in hand with the whole leadership piece. So there's an increased focus on stakeholder management. There's also an increased focus on delivering benefit to the organization, right? So we're talking about this in the triangle. You're going to see increased, focus around delivering benefit to the organization, because the reality is if we're not delivering benefit to the organization, we're not providing value. If we're not providing value, you're not going to get funding, and so on and so on. This one surprised me a little bit, however, the increased focus on procurement management. So we're seeing a couple of new tasks around procurement, as well as some changed wording around procurement. So yeah, there's going to be a little bit more focus on the exam, and I'm also starting to get this feedback already from my students who are going through our exam prep course and then hence writing the exam. They were kind of being surprised that, there's actually a fair bit here on procurement. And I think we're now starting to see a bit of an evolution in the practice, especially at the more entry and junior levels, where we're starting to get more of that procurement handling as opposed to what typically happens in the large organizations, where you kind of hand that off to the procurement department and then bring back the results. Yeah, so how does this affect us? Well, we see a slight shift in the composition of the questions. The good news is all of your practice exams are still valid. Okay, so we're not seeing huge fundamental shifts. It's very much an evolutionary change. It's a sort of a minor tweaking, and the questions themselves are going to stay the same. It's really just the focus of where PMI is putting that focus is shifting a little bit. So it's not a huge revolutionary change. It's not like, oh my God, I get the exam done before the switch over. So that's kind of some good news. But yes, we're going to see increased stakeholder management, increased around the strategic side and delivery to the organization, as well as some extra procurement stuff. So make sure you've got those topics really solid. Again, go to PMI.org to look for additional information, as well as PMI certification PMI.org. Look for the PMP handbook there. Look for the PMP exam content outline. So the exam content outline gives you the RDS and all of that detail. Okay. Sorry, hold on a second. What? Oh, it's 15. Oh, sorry, thank you. Yay. So Lauren was just double checking. This is a great thing about having someone who's like free to go surf the web while you're doing your thing. So Lauren just did a quick double check, and it is 15 on the give back. So for the maintenance, it is actually 15 on the give back. So that's cool. Cool. So thank you, Lauren. So again, for more information, go to pmi.org, certification.pm.org, or contact us. I'd love to hear from you guys, and if you're having any difficulty finding that data, we can either email you the handbooks, or there are PDFs online, or we can actually send you the link directly. So that's what we wanted to cover today, folks, and I'm going to open the floor to any questions. Where's my question panel? There it is. So if you've got any questions, please type them in, and we'll give that a few minutes. Otherwise, we're good to go. And thank you guys so much for being with us today. Appreciate your time as always, and look forward to kind of hearing from you and seeing you in the new year, and have a wonderful holiday season. So I'll just leave that open for any questions. It's a quiet group today. Other than that, we did a really good job in making sure they got all their questions answered. All right. As usual, you've got my email address. It's right there on screen, david.donaldson@tidalshift.ca. And we're going to take a slight break over Christmas, over the December holidays. And then our next webinar will be January the 8th on followership. And look for announcements as to how the new paid model is going to be working. And like I say, we have a couple different bundles to help you support that, and we put a price point that's very, very affordable. It's very inexpensive. So yeah, we just want to up our commitment to you guys and make sure that we're giving you what you guys need. All right, we will see you guys in the new year. Have a great one.